Good evening. No gavel pounding, isn't that amazing? I will call to order the meeting of the regular Board of Trustees meeting for July 28, 2008.
Bring up the lights.
All cell phones will be silenced, or I'll have the sergeant immediately remove people from the room.
Yeah, right.
Gotcha, nerdy. Welcome, everyone. We're here tonight with our new president and the chair, at least our new interim president, and we will proceed immediately to business. So, Madam President, do you have any guests at this time?
Yes, we do. I'd like to introduce Dr. Tom Peterson. Dr. Peterson is the Medical Director of Quality at Helen DeVos Children's Hospital, and he's been very instrumental in helping us adopt our smoke-free campus policy. Would you please stand, Dr. Peterson, for recognition?
Do any trustees have guests tonight? Seeing none, let's move along to the approval of the agenda. May I have a motion for approval of the agenda?
So moved, Mr. Chair.
Any discussion?
Mr. Chair, could you have him bring up the lights a little more?
Could we have the lights brought up a little bit, Elaine?
For senior
Us
eyes.
older trustees.
For senior eyes.
Jim can do it.
Oh, Jim can do it. Thank you, Jim. Some of us older trustees are having a little trouble seeing.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. And that included me. I was going like this. Any discussion on the agenda? Any additions or corrections? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Agenda is adopted. We do have a short closed session that we're going to beg your indulgence with respect to. That was not well phrased, but it's the best I can do given the circumstances. And I understand Ms. Magini will make the motion.
I certainly will. I move that the board meet immediately in closed session for strategy and negotiation sessions connected with the negotiation of a collective bargaining agreement. This meeting is called in accordance with the Open Meetings Act, Section 8, Articles A and C.
Support.
Roll call vote, please.
Trustee Anderson?
Yes.
Trustee Hanlon?
Yes.
Trustee James?
Yes.
Trustee Magini?
Yes.
Trustee Shanks is, Trustee Stearns is absent. Trustee Verberg?
Yes.
Chairperson Shank.
Yes. We will adjourn to a closed session immediately, and upon our return, we'll commence to finishing the remainder of the business. It will not take us long, so please relax. We'll be back. Chief, telephone. All right, we are back in session. Madam Secretary, I forgot to mention that Trustee Stearns is not with us tonight. He is out of the jurisdiction, so we were unable to serve the subpoena on him, but he will be here at the next meeting.
What did he
Thank
do?
you for your patience. We have no special orders of business, and so we'll move right into our college linkages. And first, Secretary Magini, do we have any communications to the board?
Yes, we do. We received a thank you note from the executive board of the SEBA group, thanking the board for approving their contract for 0809. As an association, they're very appreciative. End of my report.
Very good. Under board reports, I am going to put on another hat at this point in time, and that is as the chairman of the search committee. It is my honor to recommend to the Board of Trustees the names of the 4 finalists. I know you all have those by now, but as does the public, but it is a requirement that we make a formal recommendation to the board, and I'm going to do that at this time. The search committee, as you know, has worked diligently over the past 2 months, and particularly last week in reviewing the applications, a final time, selecting from those applications a list of semifinalists, and then meeting to determine the names of the 10 semifinalists. We did select 10 semifinalists, and from that list we selected ultimately in a very democratic but diligent process based upon all of the factors that had been previously communicated to everyone. That included the desired attributes that were contributed to by everyone on this campus, I believe, and some from outside the campus and from the Board of Trustees as to what we were looking for in a president. The applications required that they provide specific information on a number of matters, including their familiarity with the AQIP process. When we interviewed them on such issues as how they felt about our sustainability effort, their familiarity in dealing in labor matters, and any number of topics. And based upon those interviews, we selected and present to you the names of the following. Dr. Lawrence Sprague's, recently of Broome County Community College. I know the press release said he's retired. He was retired from that position. That is not to mean that he is a retired person. He is not. He's an extremely active person and had been active at the college right up to the time that he decided that he would like to look for something else. So Dr. Sprague's is our first candidate. He's from Broome County Community College, as I said, Binghamton, New York. Dr. Gordon May, who is currently the president of the Highland Lakes campus of Oakland Community College, from Waterford, Michigan. The next is Dr. Olin Joynton, a president from Alpena Community College here in Alpena, Michigan. And finally, John Ganio, a PhD, Vice Chancellor for Education, St. Louis Community College, St. Louis, Missouri. I read those not in the name of their names not in any particular order of preference. We've released them a number of times in various orders. I can tell you this, they're all fine candidates. They will be coming to campus. The Board of Trustees will be working on, with the President, a schedule for interviews and for access to the presidential candidates by constituent groups. Interviews ultimately by the Board of Trustees, and then we will, following that, go through a period of deliberation. I can tell you that we cannot act as a board for 30 days from the date that we formally announce and recommend to the board our candidates. So we cannot act more than 30 days or less than 30 days from today. Following that 30-day period, the Board of Trustees will make a decision, and what that decision is, we don't know. And as I've said before, and as members of this board have said before, if we have a president in that group, that president will be named. If we do not have a president in that group, we aren't afraid to keep looking. So we intend to work hard at this process and continue the process until it comes to its ultimate conclusion. I'm very pleased, personally, as was the search committee, with the 4 candidates that surfaced. We worked very hard at it. I again want to extend thanks on behalf of this board to the members of the search committee for their diligence and their hard work, and they did put in extreme effort. There were members from the community, members from the internal community. We had 2 faculties members, Steve Abid and Lori Foster, and we had George Waite from the MTech, director of our MTech Center on the committee. You had 3 board members, and you had 6 members of the community who were from various constituent groups in the community and represented a wide geographic area in our community. That was one of the board's requirements. As you know, we have felt very strongly about working hard on our community outreach. Very diverse search committee. We had representations, I think, from various age groups. Oh, I forgot we had a student on the committee as well. I don't know how I overlooked her, because our next, our new president, I should say, of the Student Congress, Sarah, somebody help me.
Wiltenberg.
Sarah Wiltenberg was on the committee with us and made excellent contributions to that committee. And I will tell you this, she was not at all intimidated by the fact that she was working with many people who were older than her, who might have claimed more experience or more knowledge or anything else. She was a real contributor to this committee. So we're very proud of that search committee and what they did for us. So with that, you have the search committee's formal recommendation. The next thing that we will do is meet in retreat and discuss our schedule. Dr. Mulder has been working very hard with Kathy and with the candidates already to get that schedule prepared. It includes such things as a forum for the faculty, a forum, a general forum, meetings with internal constituent groups, and an opportunity for everyone on campus and as many people from off campus who would like to be involved to have access to these presidential candidates for the purpose of providing input to the Board of Trustees. I want everybody to remember that the Board of Trustees sets this process. The Board of Trustees is ultimately responsible for this process. The Board of Trustees is ultimately responsible for the person who sits in this chair and who governs with the Board of Trustees the college and provides its direction over the next period of time for whatever that may be that our next president is here. The buck stops with this board, and it is our legal responsibility under the Constitution and laws of the state of Michigan to appoint the president. All interviews with the president, the presidential candidates, are open interviews. No interviews can be held in private or secret or in any other fashion. If business is being done with respect to the selection of one of these candidates as president, it will be an open meeting. And that's true whether it's a constituent group meeting with the presidential candidates or it's this board. So I want everyone to keep that in mind. But it is our process and our responsibility, and one that we take very seriously. It is not one that we are permitted to delegate, and we will not delegate that responsibility. So having said that, you have our recommendation, and we'll look forward to moving this process along. All right, the next item of business.
Before we go
Yes.
on, may I add something, please?
Sure.
Because this wonderful woman has been jumped right in and worked so very hard, it seems like she's been here for a long period of time, and I've even sat at this table before, but as I understand, it is the first time that Dr. Mulder has been in that chair in this place, and certainly as a board, we welcome her, and thank you so much for taking the interim responsibility. We appreciate it.
Thank you for that.
Thank you very much. I
Yeah.
appreciate that.
Jan's here to cover my lack of social graces, but she speaks for all of us. I know that because we've all had an opportunity to spend time with Dr. Mulder and to express that. And thank you very much. Jan.
Thank you. It's my honor.
She jumped in running, so we just felt that
She
she'd been here
certainly
for a
did.
long time.
Thank you. The next item of business are faculty and staff comments, and we'll start with the faculty. Are there any faculty members who would like to address the board at this time? All right, seeing none, we'll move along. How about staff? Any staff members who would like to address the board on anything, any topic at this time? All right, hearing none, we'll move along to citizen comments. Are there any citizens in the audience? I mean, you're all citizens. I mean, people who are not affiliated with the college who would like to speak with the board at this time, and I see none. And students, last opportunity. Not last opportunity, we have more opportunities in the agenda, but I see no students present either, so thank you. We have no general resolutions at this time, and I know we have no student report at this time. So we'll move along to the consent agenda, and I will ask the board to take a few moments to review the consent agenda. Before I do that, I'd like a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Okay, take a few minutes or as much as you need to look at the agenda. If you want to move anything for separate consideration, please feel free to do that, as you know, and we will move along in terms of getting this thing done or questions asked about. I do want to point out that you had a handout on your table tonight when you came in with respect to item number 9. The only change from what you had in your packet is that the requester is Tina Hoxie, Student Affairs, and that there was a different requester printed in your booklet. So that's the only change we have in that.
Nancy O'Brien in the audience. Nancy. Nancy, does, I noticed on page 11.31 in parentheses, do the radio stations have any, I noticed that amount, I'm not challenging the amount, I'm just wondering how much do they give to the community?
Which one are you looking at?
Page 11. I hope your page is the same.
That's Wood TV 8.
Oh, you're looking at what, TV 8?
Yeah.
TV?
No, I'm just curious as to how much of it is kind of an in-kind or, donated to the community. Do we have any agreements like that? And then this is in addition to that? Does my question make sense?
Okay, well, $90,000 of this is the actual partnership that we're in with Wood TV8, Metropolitan Hospital, and Huntington Bank.
Okay.
And that $90,000 comprises a lot of community service, public service announcements.
Public service is what I was
that
thinking
we
of,
all
yeah.
agree on. And most of those are the spots you've seen around literacy and safety and health and financial literacy as well. And all of us partner and pay for parts of that. The addition on this is actually not a part of the partnership, but just an extra commercial buy that we have made to ensure we have spots that we can use them as we like for more direct marketing of our programming.
Okay, thank you.
Certainly.
Any other questions? Are we ready for the question? All right. All those in favor of approval of the consent agenda signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you. Our next item of business is an action item involving a smoke-free campus resolution, and Vice President Quina will present that to us.
Good afternoon, Chairman Schenk, President Mulder, and members of the Board of Trustees. Before you this afternoon is a resolution with supporting documentation that we're hopeful that you approve that will support GRCC becoming a smoke-free campus beginning on November 20th, 2008. November 20th is the date that coincides with the American Cancer Society's Great American Smokeout. Even though we talk about a smoke-free campus, this is really a wellness issue, and that's the vein, and that's the way we're trying to paint this, and it is truly an outgrowth of our wellness team. Before answering any questions, however, I'd like to recognize and compliment Vice President Cynthia Springer for her work organizing and chairing this committee. I'd also like to thank Dr. Tom Peterson, who President Mulder introduced just a few minutes ago, the Medical Director of Quality for Spectrum Hospital. We are so fortunate to have him here. He is a national expert, and I can remember in a different life that I had previous, if he remembers this, he came into my office and he was going to help us with all of our young adults to stop smoking. So he's a passionate man about this topic, and thank you, Tom, for being here this afternoon to answer any questions that the board may have. I'd also like to mention to the board that he had great support and cooperation from Mayor Hartwell's office and St. Mary's as well. In the audience today, we have several members from the campus committee who participated with us at the beginning stages. They also will be charged with the hard work if you're so inclined to vote for this resolution in terms of the implementation process. I'd like to have the members who are in the audience to stand or wave if you've been a member of this wellness team and helping us with the no smoking resolution. A little more
Stand up so we can see.
I saw one
you.
hand.
energy.
Stand up so we can see you. We can hardly tell who's lifting a hand
Okay.
there.
Thank you. And Liz is in the back. Liz, wave.
Liz?
Okay. Thank you. So if you have any questions at this time, we provided you with an awful lot of information. As I said, Cynthia's done a lot of work behind the scenes getting this organized for you. And if I can't answer your questions, we have someone in the audience who will.
Well, I would like to first start with a statement. I personally think this is an excellent idea. I think most of us, and I will just speak for myself, I have friends, and I have my god sister who was has had 2 bouts with cancer, and although smoking does not, I don't think, causes all cancer. I'm not sure. You have to tell me if that's true, doctor, or not.
It's the #1 cause of lung cancer.
Okay, it is the #1. Okay, and I know that she was a smoker, for years and years, and so I'm just, and I know the other thing is secondhand smoke. Even if you don't smoke, there's the possibility of being around secondhand smoke that could really affect your life. So for us to have this smoke-free campus, I think it's a wonderful idea, and the fact that we are not only looking out for the safety of our employees and our students, but we're also looking out for them in terms of health reasons. I do have several questions that I would like to ask. You're saying that we are looking at this in terms of health. Are we looking, then we're not looking at it in terms of, we're looking at health and education as opposed to any type of punishment for people that might not follow the rules?
That's correct, Ellen. In fact, I'd like to make that as a point of emphasis. This is not about a punitive action or a penalty. This is about education, providing the right climate and atmosphere for students, and that if you, in our information, we talk about level 1, 2, and 3 in terms of how we're going to approach this. It's going to be in a caring manner, in a helpful manner, and an educational way, as opposed to punitive or as a penalty.
Okay, thank you. And we're going to be doing education, we're going to be doing training, and we're going to be using referral sources. So the idea is to not only remove it from the campus, but to help people who need assistance in quitting smoking.
Exactly, Ellen, and I think Dr. Peterson might be able to refer to some of the statistics on the success rate. Tom, would you like to address that?
Virtually every single smoke-free ordinance that has been implemented throughout the United States, whether it's been a smoke-free ordinance in a city, indoor smoke-free ordinances, campus smoke-free ordinances, every single one of them cuts down on the rate of smokers that participate in that institution. Most of them are around 10 to 15% of a drop in smoking rates, primarily because the people that smoke that participate in the institution, whether it's the employees, usually employees, sometimes students, what happens is most of them, the majority of them want to quit, and it's just one more push to get them to that stage where they're ready to do it. So the whole purpose of this is not just this will definitely decrease smoking rates, and not just employees, but also potentially students, but that's the purpose of having the investment of the educational process and the smoking cessation opportunities and so on to assist them in doing so, because we know people are going to want to do it. So.
Let me see. How much involvement, this has been a year-long process, as I understand it. Who has been involved in this process, if you would share that, please? I know that the president started it, and there were other groups involved.
We had students involved, administrators, faculty members, faculty from the nursing school,
okay.
Consultants like Tom to help us, St. Mary's Hospital. One of their vice presidents joined us because they instituted this. So we had a wide reach for our committee.
Okay.
And we haven't had a smoker on the committee. So to
Who quit?
Bring that. Pardon me?
Who quit?
Not yet.
Quit smoking or quit the committee?
That was one of the questions I had of this committee. Were there any smokers on it?
Yes.
Just one?
Yes.
You've been keeping that a secret.
Several members of our committee actually smoked in the past and have since quit, so we did have some other experiences.
I think it's interesting to note that this is one of the most answered surveys the college has taken on. Over 3,000 respondents between faculty and students. And if I remember correctly, 78% of the faculty supported this, that responded, and 63% of the students who responded. So we have support to do this, and we thought it was very important and necessary for your support. And if we're successful with your resolution go this evening, we have an implementation scheduled for tomorrow morning. So,
how many campuses are smoke-free? Tom know, or anybody else know? The percentage of,
Which campuses you're talking?
Well, community colleges or universities?
Well, the ones that I'm very well aware of are Washtenaw Community College and Lansing Community College, and we actually have some of the educational materials and some of the policy components that Washtenaw Community College has used when they did this a couple years ago. So as far as the colleges, there's no one else locally here, and we have no universities to my knowledge, at least in Michigan. It's been the community colleges that have led this. Other than that, we have obviously all of our public school system, every public school in Kent County is 24/7 smoke-free campus. We have big businesses that have smoke-free campus like Alticor and Steelcase and those places now. We have all three of our hospitals that are smoke-free campuses in the Kent County area. So there are a number of other types of institutions that have done the campus who have led with this. And I would say when you talk about the committee that's formed, I've been on committees that have done this at the hospitals. I've been around the state and around the country on different committees. This is a very good, diverse group that they have. It's very similar to, as far as representation, to what I've seen at other institutions, as far as the different types of disciplines and, that they've had at the committee. So,
I'd like to share something with you. I have a copy of the perspective in the Grand Rapids Press dated January 27th, 1991. And the reason I went back to pull this up is because of the comment that was made about the committee just starting 2 years ago. Well, way back then, when there were 25 candidates for the first Board of Trustees for Grand Rapids Community College, the fifth question asked of each of these candidates, some students have protested plans to eliminate smoking on campus. Do you think the campus should be entirely smoke-free? 17 and a half years ago. Now, my answer was certainly yes. As a health educator, I would have to support that idea. So, no, you don't want to know. But it certainly has been a long time coming, so thank you for all the work that you've been doing to bring this about. But then I have a couple of questions. Number one, we're going to do this all across the GRCC name as far as the MTechs, both in Holland and here, and every program that we have. And was talking with other people this weekend, how are we going to monitor the not smoking policy? What are we going to do as far as the adults that we have on some of these off-site campuses, so to speak?
That will be what the implementation team will begin to address.
What team, Pat?
The implementation team. Those are exactly some of the questions that we are going. Now, we have a cursory understanding of what we're going to do, but now, with your support of this, we can now move forward with signage, wellness plans. So those implementation stages, we can keep you informed as what we're going to do when we roll this out. But we needed to have the support first before we move into the implementation. But going back to Ellen's point, this is meant to be educational, this is meant to be healthful, wellness opportunities, and also it's a shared responsibility all of us will have. All of us will have a shared responsibility on this campus, from the Board of Trustees to employees to students, that we have a means to do this that is gentle, empathetic, and proper, so that we don't alienate people. Again, our goal is to eliminate smoking for the individual. It will take time. I think for us to expect 100% success would not be reasonable nor even probable. But it is a goal that we should have. It's the right thing to do, and as Gary said in his press release later today, time has come to do this. And it will come with some challenges.
So when you're enforcing this policy, and we don't have punitive measures, if, for example, they are smoking in their car in parking lots at the MTechs, is that still within our jurisdiction?
Yes.
Okay.
And, could it escalate to be a penalty? Yes, but that's something that is really something we're working educationally at this point and to intervene.
Or, Pat, for employees that need medical attention or assistance in stopping smoking, would that be covered under their insurance?
I can't speak to that question, Ellen.
Yeah.
Yes.
I could say we did do some research with our carriers,
Uh-huh.
And we don't have confirmation from Mesa yet, but the other carriers, through the medical insurance process, would support smoking cessation for our employees. And I'm pretty
That's
sure
great.
Mesa does, I just don't have a confirmation from them.
Okay.
So if there's
Thank
any
you,
fee,
Liz.
any charge. So, but along those same lines, realistically, where will the smokers go? It's a tough question because we've all been through it. There's always the boiler room behind this and da-da-da-da. I mean, what are we going to do about that? Because, you know, part of me has empathy for someone who's addicted to smoking and all of a sudden it's all not allowed. You know, it's not that I don't support the idea, but I have a little bit of empathy for people who, you know, one day they can smoke, the next day they can't. And in human nature, we were just sidebarring in all of our schools. You become police for the smoke, you know, the non-smoke, or trying to police it, is what I'm trying to say. And then realistically, they will go somewhere.
They will go somewhere, possibly, Terry, but they also may quit. And that's one of our hopes. And the other thing is that we will have several months now to get this information out where they can plan and prepare. And if we provide smoking cessations, opportunity classes, provide interventions, give websites that address this issue, employment is important. And if employment is contingent upon this, then I think that's pretty heavy incentive.
So you just said something very important. Is employment contingent on this?
Well, it ultimately, and I don't...
So you'll be evaluated by this policy?
An individual would not be evaluated by this policy. Let me say, if someone was repetitively insubordinate about this,
okay,
that could lead to some type of action. I would hesitate to go beyond that.
Well, I was just responding to your comment and trying not to sound too challenging, but you did say employment, based on employment, and I think that would make people nervous.
Ultimately. And again, I'd like to stress that would be way, way down the highway. And that wouldn't be, we would try to correct the behavior first and exhaust that. And I would sense if organizations have been successful with this at the hospital and big, would you?
Sure. Yeah, this is, I can speak from Spectrum Health is the largest employer in West Michigan. And we've had a smoke-free campus since 2003. What happens is the people who, if they're an employee, assume it's because there's different people. We have you have students and employees. We have patients and visitors and employees. Speaking of the employee can move off of the campus. So they still can go somewhere else and participate in the act. That's not being restricted right now. What it does is when people are pushed to go more than 5 feet or 10 feet or they have to go somewhere else, they are more likely to say, okay, I've had enough. I need the help now. I'm going to make the decision. 80% of people who smoke want to quit. We're providing them another reason to do it and to help save their lives. We have 450,000 people that die from this every year. So what happens is it not only if they leave the campus, then it also provides a safe haven for people who are on that campus to not be exposed. People are less likely to light up and do it when there are not other people around. So initially they can move off. What we've done at Spectrum Health, and I'm not saying that's part of Grand Rapids Community College, but by 2007, 4 years later, we now have a policy where no employees, this is 15,000 employees, cannot smoke any time while they're on work hours, on or off the campus.
And anywhere, on or off the campus.
And it's been the most positively accepted policy that we've ever had. It's been 16 months in now. We've had no issues. There's been no punitive efforts provided. It's a 3-strike and you're out thing that we have at our hospital, just like it is with alcohol or other uses.
So if you get caught 3 times?
Correct. Yeah. That's at the Spectrum Health System and St. Mary's and Metropolitan. And basically we have had nobody that has had a problem with their job since this has been implemented. University of Michigan Hospital has done this since 1999 and they have not had any since then either in almost 10 years. So what happens is people seek out help, but it does at the same time push people to get out. You create a safe area where you don't have to have exposure to the smoke at the same time. So those are some of the benefits you get from it.
Do you have any statistics of how many employees of those 15,000 who smoked did in fact quit as a result of this?
When we implemented the smoke-free campus, we were at 16% prevalence of smokers in our institution. We're now at 8.5, the lowest of any hospital in the state of Michigan.
interesting that you should mention Spectrum Health. I've had an opportunity to use the valet parking entrance on Ransom, and the doorman and I were talking about our smoke-free possible policy here at the college, and he's very concerned about the hospital employees that cross the street and smoke in their little area by the Calkin Science Center. Will we be able to get some cooperation then with the hospital as well as our own campus police to kind of monitor this?
One of the reasons that I'm participating.
Thank you.
Because I'm well aware of that situation. And right now, I will tell you, if you have signs, if you have a place across the street where people, there's ashtrays and people can go, it's like a magnet. So things have to be changed. Once that's changed, people have to be diverted someplace else. They're going to have to go further down the street to another place. But there's going to have to be some participation from Spectrum Health, too. Some educational opportunities, things like that also, yes.
It's going to be interested, I think, in this area. There isn't going to be another place other than the college and the hospital for long.
Well, what did Mayor Hartwell and the commission do? Didn't they do a smoke-free, but where was that? I thought it was in the proper of Grand Rapids, but maybe no one knows that. In other words, there's not going to be any place you're going to be able to go eventually.
Well, I can tell you what's happened with the city. First, they did the smoke-free ordinance for the city in the fall of 2007, which is 10 feet from the door and indoors for work sites, not restaurants and bars. So that was the ordinance put in for the city. What they've done with this collaborative opportunity, which is very unique, and I've been very excited about it, this is the first time that an institution like a college or another business has collaborated with the city to change an ordinance in the state of Michigan. So this is a first. And what they've done is they've added a piece to their ordinance saying that any business in the city now has jurisdiction of claiming that their space in front of their institution, like the sidewalk, because our problem was with the sidewalk being city sidewalks, can be declared as smoke-free. And we can put signs up. They're going to be standardized signs, which means other businesses in Grand Rapids will be able to do the same thing. So it's a great lead that the community college is taking with this. And I have not seen this done anywhere else in the state. And it's been there's been great support from Mayor Hartwell and his staff also, and their lawyers.
A couple other questions I have is Chief Cannell and her staff ready to do training as to how to, in your words, approach people in a friendly manner?
That's why they got the tasers.
Well,
I think it's fair to say that the chief has some concerns about time well spent, but that goes back to the shared responsibility of all of us on campus to pass out little cards, do the little nudging, speak to someone, and it's the style which one does that. But I think there's some concern on her part that her time isn't taken up with that. So that's something that has to be a campus-wide responsibility for all of us.
And then how is the cessation of smoking going to be advertised?
Well, that will begin through our implementation team, a campaign.
Oh, okay, it's not decided yet.
That will be rolled out now. Between now and November 20th will be advertisement. Once we get, if the board approves this resolution, then we begin our work on the implementation, on the marketing, the public relations, and how we're going to accomplish some of those things that you brought up.
Pat, this starts in November?
November 20th.
November 20th. Okay, then a year after that, hopefully we will have some type of report that we've done good?
Yep, we'll provide you a report, yes.
Okay.
I have just one last question, just for my own clarification. Most places, particularly popular coffee shops, they have that 10-foot rule. Well, the person is at the 10.5-point mark and they're smoking. No one will come out and say anything as a rule, if you're outdoors or anything. It's just too confrontive. Are we going to do the 10-foot rule or forever? I mean,
there's no
is
smoking
that what we're talking
about? No, there will be no smoking on campus, including
But do you understand what I'm asking? I mean, I can be on campus and I can be one giant step away from campus and puffing my brains out and still affecting those sitting back. Those are just projected issues, but I'm saying...
in that case, if you're one giant step off campus, you're okay.
You're okay. All right.
We'll have signs, we'll have a perimeter. Tom's already been thinking about that for facilities. So all of those things will be thought and have to.
Yeah, and I know it's all experimental until, we have
One thing
some
I could
data.
add, one thing I could add to that is in our experience in the past, the failures have always been when there's rules set up with 10 feet, 20 feet, 30 feet, 100 feet, or butt huts. What you do in that case is you're kind of okaying it to happen on your campus. And what we've learned over time with the places that have done this is it's much more effective to say we have a campus. It's for this reason. We're out for the health. We're here to support the health of everybody. And it's much more effective, and people follow the policy much better than if you have those little 10 feet type things that are completely ineffective. And that's been our experience, so we never tell anybody to do that. But the one other thing I'd like to mention is you mentioned that Pat has been mentioning is this implementation phase. That's what we started with this a couple months ago. It was about a 6-month time, because when we go to hospitals and other institutions, we usually suggest they do a 6-month to 1-year implementation phase. And that's what this is you get the approval, and then you go forward with all these we have multiple committees that are forming. They're going to train people how to approach people and talk. There's going to be a lot of that going on, a lot of the signage, a lot of the education. We're going to coordinate classes and available classes on site, free classes that are available in the community. All that stuff will be coming up as part of the implementation.
I think an interesting thing would be is Spectrum, we know, is non-smoking, but is Van Andel and is Fountain Street and is the library and is surrounding areas, and maybe forming some partnerships for them to consider no smoking, because ultimately there would be no place to go.
It's one of my dreams. So I would really like to have the community college and Spectrum and Van Andel and the MSU College of Human Medicine have a campus like that that's smoke-free when it's the medical kind of campus, including GRCC. I think that'd be wonderful. That hasn't happened yet, but that's in my thinking.
Well, and it just presented an instant question in my mind: where does Ferris stand on this? Who share the ATC with us?
They'll be under our jurisdiction.
Oh, okay.
They'll have to follow the rules.
All right. Does anyone need the resolution read? We've had it before us, both in our packets and previously. If not, you have in front of you the smoke-free campus resolution. By adopting this, we'll be endorsing the policy that GRCC will become a smoke-free campus. And I think in terms of any situation where we spend $50 billion a year and lose $430,000 or 430,000 lives, to the extent that we can contribute to reducing that, I'm all in favor of it. So may I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved, Mr. Chair.
All those in favor? Well, first of all, any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Unanimously passed. Thank you so much, Doctor. Thank you, team that worked so hard on it, and thank you, Pat. Smokers may not, I smoked for a long time, and it was difficult to quit, so I do have empathy for the smokers, but I think, as Pat pointed out, we intend to implement this in an empathetic way and look hard for that. All right, the next item on the agenda is the ESP contract, and Vice President Springer will present this to us.
My knee popped. Guess I'm getting older. Good afternoon, Chairperson Schenk, President Mulder, and Board of Trustees members. I am very pleased to present to you today a proposal that I'd like to request approval for settled negotiations with our education support personnel. I will say that tonight represents the first of the votes regarding the contract. The ESP organization will be voting on the contract on Thursday. So we have advised them about coming to the board tonight, and they're very supportive of having your vote on tonight as well. The agreement is a 3-year agreement from 2008 to 2011. Will be effective July 1 of this year. What we're asking in wage enhancements is 2.25 for this year, and then 2% for the next 2 years of the agreement, plus step. The benefit changes includes adjustments to longevity schedules, dental and vision reimbursement combined, making eligible the LASIK surgery benefit eligibility in the first year, and also wanting to increase dental reimbursement by $150 for year 2 and also for year 3. We are also asking to increase the non-GRCC tuition reimbursement by $50. That would become $300. It's currently $250. And also to remove residency distinction for GRCC tuition benefits for this particular employee group, which is the only group that has that distinction for that eligibility. And we're also asking to increase the association paid benefits leave by 40 additional hours. Those hours are reimbursed to the college by the association for the association to conduct union business. And that is the proposal before the board.
All right, may I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Support? All right, questions? This is not the first time this matter has seen our eyes, and we've had an opportunity to consult with Vice President Springer. I do want you to know that we received an email from Executive Vice President Partridge, who is our Chief Financial Officer, who indicated that he could not be at tonight's session. But he says, I want to assure you and the board that the proposed settlement is within the board guidelines and is covered in the 08-09 budget. I urge you and the board to support this agreement. And I thank Vice President Partridge for that. One thing we always ask him is whether it's a matter within our budget guidelines as well as our board guidelines. So we've been assured that not only by you, but by Vice President Partridge as well. Any further discussion?
Just that these, this contract, I've already asked for this before, but I wanted it on record. This contract is basically consistent with the other units that we have settled with.
Yes, this contract is very consistent with the other approved settlements.
Okay, thank you.
Further. All right, will you call the roll, please?
Trustee Anderson.
Yes.
Trustee Hanlon.
Yes.
Trustee James.
Yes.
Trustee Magini.
Yes.
Trustee Stearns is absent. Trustee Verberg.
Yes.
And Chairperson Schenk.
Yes. Who were the members of the negotiating teams for this?
Thank you for asking that, because they've done a wonderful job using interest-based bargaining to settle this contract since June. And Kathy Keating was the chief negotiator for the administration, and her team included Sharon Gates, Patty Tripkowski, Faye Davis, and Jim Peterson. And also for the educational support personnel, Missy McClure is their current president, and her team consisted of Pam DeGrice, Deb Stout, Susan Gerald, Kathy Nowitzki, Alice Stark, and Tracy Payne, and they do have an MEA appointed UNISERV director who sits on the team too, and that individual is Richard Schultz.
Well, thank everyone for us, and those of you who are here. Kathy, all of you, thank you very much. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay. Our next item on the agenda is our policy development. And does anyone have any topics they'd like to add to our tracking agenda for review at a future meeting?
I do, Chair Schenk. For lack of a better term, I would like to call it student equity. I am really interested in perhaps the equity amongst credit and non-credit students. For example, are they issued student IDs, so that might help them with some other student community discounts if they would have it. Parking rates, not having a rater card on some of our non-credit students. I think we need to really take a look at these types of programs because of the involvement of what this workforce development is going to have to be doing for this economy. We just were off of a summer workshop, heard the governor speak on No Worker Left Behind and how important it is to get them involved in improving our Michigan economy. Took a look at what our needs are. The legislature has already decided, hopefully we get the money, but community colleges get 2%, universities, et cetera, 1%. So we have that move forward. But I think that we as a board have to sit together and talk about perhaps dispelling this myth of what I'm calling a myth of this elitist perception between what is academic and what is workforce or job training students, because all of this ultimately, of course, leads to a position in the work world. And I think we really need to take a look at what we need to do as far as leaders and perhaps pass that down throughout the college. Do I have support?
You do indeed.
Yes.
You need to.
All right, that will go on the tracking agenda. Any others?
I might have forgotten this, but the board monitoring is on for tonight. What happened? Help me remember. 7/8, isn't it? July 08?
Yeah.
Because if not tonight, then we need to change that date.
Yeah, the date will be changed. We haven't scheduled any retreat items other than we weren't intending to, so that was just something that we do need to schedule it.
Well,
You're just going to reschedule
Yes.
it. I mean, we're obviously not going to talk about it tonight,
Right.
but I'm just wondering.
Right, we do need to schedule it. We just haven't scheduled anything as of yet with the presidential search.
I see. You're saying it's got to go to retreat before it can come here.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Oh, yeah, I'm with you. But I don't remember changing that before, and since my name's on it.
Well, it probably would have come up earlier if we had
Yeah.
followed the natural course with the president's annual review and so on this year, but
Well-
Ann hasn't been with us quite long enough to get an annual
thank
review.
you.
Doesn't have a
Thank
lot
you
of
for
clout
saying
because it's been on there since October of '07, so.
That brings me to another statement that I did not make, and I would really like student equity on our agenda sooner than later because of all the wonderful programs that we're offering in the health field and all the other fields for some of our non-credit students that we really need to address.
I agree. I think it's time to.
So thank you for reminding me of that, Jerry.
And then with the Learning Corner on here, whenever it is scheduled for retreat or whatever, we have an update on the MTech and knowledge about the West Side, and then also Wealthy.
Yes, we are working on a board briefing memo right now to that end.
Any others?
Well, yeah, and not on here, but there was a comment made, I think it was either in the press Sunday or something, that I don't know if we've gotten any response. Will those centers still remain open? And I don't think it meant the learning centers. But when I read that, I went, oh, that could be interpreted as the learning centers. Have we heard any response? People panicking? Like, I think it meant other centers, but it definitely worded.
Yeah,
so you might either be prepared to look into that.
Obviously, the intent is to keep the learning corners open and to, as far as we can, make them flourish.
Yeah, but it made reference to the MTech on Godfrey and the new center.
I think there have been no decisions made about the
Right.
Godfrey MTech as a continuing or future site for a learning corner. I think all of that stuff is under discussion.
Exactly.
It is under discussion.
I just didn't want the Southeast Side Learning Center to think that one of those centers were going to close as a result of the Northwest Center opening.
That will not be the case, I'm sure. You do have, I think that next month you're going to be talking about the sustainability. We will be sending out a board brief for you on that prior to next month. You'll have that information. And we have noted that for November 2009, the report on the smoking issue as well. Got that.
Any other topics? I would like to put back on, for perhaps a retreat agenda, another discussion of the board's self-evaluation. I know we went through that process a while ago. At our conference, there was a presentation on self-evaluation, and I think that there were some ideas there. A lot of it, interestingly enough, tracked what we came up with. But there were also some ideas with respect to questionnaires that the board can self-report on and that sort of thing that I would just like to circulate to all of you and perhaps have a discussion on at a retreat if I can get support for that.
We have a slot in 2011.
Well, I will probably be
Sooner than later.
unavailable for that discussion, but I would like to see, before I go, an opportunity for us to discuss self-evaluation.
Well, yeah, and it stands to reason that if it's going to be on there, it should be soon, and it should be a regular. You don't, like, suddenly decide to self-evaluate once in a while. You either do it on a timely basis or
Well,
you don't.
and that's what sort of prompted it, because we were coming up on a time when it would be natural again to
Right.
review that. And perhaps you can make it part of an annual calendar, and but there were some interesting tools that we were provided at the conference.
I would support that.
Okay, I got one support, two support.
Support it.
Three- all right, good, that'll be on the tracking agenda. Any others? Madam President, that would also come up preferably before June of '09.
Okay, thank you. I'll do my best or ask my predecessor to take care of that for you.
And the status of future agenda items, if we're done, I take it there were no other suggestions for the tracking agenda, good. All right, and I'll defer to the President, Dr. Mulder, to review item 8B, which is our tracking system. I know you've already mentioned a couple things, if there's anything else you needed to do.
No, as I said, we'll do the sustainability, that's for next month, and the board transition planning for the next retreat, and then bring that one forward at the same time. We've noted these things, and they will be addressed. Thank you.
Thank you.
A date for the next retreat. It seems that with the search committee, the search coming up, we have one retreat on the 7th, but there was a retreat that was scheduled for the 13th. Has that been taken off the calendar to be rescheduled?
I'm not taking that off the calendar as of yet.
Will that remain on the calendar?
Talk to us.
That will be after 2 days of prior interviews. It's up to you guys.
Well, right now, we have scheduled, and maybe this is a good time to talk about it. And if not, I'm comfortable with you saying, no, it's not. We have 8 a.m. to 9 p.m., or 9 hours, not 9 p.m., 9 hours all that week. Keep that in mind. If you start at 8, what's 9 hours later? 6
Well,
o'clock
we
at
can
night.
discuss that on the 7th when we finalize
Okay.
our schedule, if that's good with everyone, and then we can decide on whether we go to the 13th or not. Okay? And if we do decide to adjourn that one, we can schedule it. We're going to have a series of discussions after that anyhow. Perhaps we can get a retreat stuck in the middle of that.
And did some of that carry over to the following week?
Yes. The tentative plans are that it will carry over the following week.
All right. The same 8 a.m. to
Yeah.
bedtime? I gotta be home to watch Stephen Colbert, though. I hope you guys know that.
A little late for my bedtime. All right, and now we have the President's report, college activities and events on campus.
Yes, I'd like to ask the Associate Vice President Andy Bowen to present to you information regarding our College Foundation.
Chairperson Schenk, President Mulder, and Board of Trustees, it's my privilege to give you a brief update on the activities of the GRCC Foundation. In June, at the board meeting, the Foundation board meeting, for the first time in the Foundation's history, we have a private sector person serving as chairperson of the Foundation Board of Directors, and that is Dave Custer, who is owner and CEO of Custer Workplace Interiors. Not only is Dave a great long-term supporter of GRCC Foundation work, he's an alum and actively committed alum at that. In addition to Dave Custer being elected as chair, there were several officers who were also elected. Jeff Gietzen, who joined the board a year ago, who is one of the principals with Midwest Capital Advisors, will serve as vice chair for the first time as an officer of the foundation. Barb Demore, who is the owner of Ames Investment Council, will once again serve as treasurer. Glenn Borey, who's an attorney with Miller Johnson, will serve once again as secretary. And our own Bob Partridge, executive vice president, will continue to serve as assistant treasurer. Also at that meeting, there were several newly elected directors to the board, including George Aquino, who's with the J.W. Marriott, Doug Klein of Northern Trust Bank, Ana Maria Saenz, who's with La Fuente Consulting, Dan Webb, who is with Meyer, George Wolf, who is with Steelcase, and, as we mentioned earlier today, Sarah Wiltenberg, who is our Student Congress President. We are very excited about the board that is being developed to serve along with you for the guidance of the foundation and our activities. It's a great board. They're very excited to serve. And I'd also like to share with you that in the 2007-2008 year, gifts and pledges totaled just short of $4 million. So we continue to have a phenomenal experience from a fundraising standpoint. Our community continues to be very supportive of our requests and of the work that we do as a college. So thank you very much, and I appreciate your support as well.
Thank you, Dr. Boaof.
Thank you.
Thank you, Andy.
Tell the board that, for whatever it's worth, I know everybody on this board agrees that your selection of the president over there is a great one. Dave's been a tremendous contributor to the college. Thank you.
President Schenck and members of the board, I just simply want to thank you for the opportunity to work in your behalf and work on behalf of this very fine college as you go through this transitional period. It's been my pleasure to do that. I want to say that we have been very busy. It has not been just a status quo and transition, meaning that we have been asleep in any way, shape, or form. That would have been physically impossible. We have completed our contracts. I'm very grateful for that now. I want to extend my gratitude as well to the entire staff for their support. They're an absolutely magnificent group of women and men, and I thank you very much for everything that you have done in my behalf. I'm very grateful for that. And thanks for the opportunity. We're going to make everything work very, very well. I'm quite sure of that.
We are too.
Good.
Dr. Mulder, are there any events on campus?
Well, I'd like for you to refer to your packets, but most particularly, I think that you can go to www.grcc.edu.
I was wondering about that.
Yes. You know.
All right, thank you very much. Now is time on our agenda for open comments. Are there any members of the audience who would like to speak to the board on any subject? Didn't necessarily have to be on this agenda, can be on anything else, or it could be on this agenda, or something we said that might have piqued your interest or a need to respond. Going once? You guys are all anxious to get out of here, I can tell that. It's a beautiful summer evening.
Tonight's the night.
Tonight's the MTech graduation.
Tonight is the Learning Corner graduation at the MTech for the ESL and GED students, our first graduating class, so you're all invited if you'd like to come over. They're going to have a dynamic speaker at one point in the program, I hear.
Two of them.
Two of us, yes. Spirit moves you. I know the young people there, and well, they're not all necessarily young people. The people there would be happy to see you. So. All right.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, ma'am. It is time for information, follow-up, or your comments.
Every time I go away and come back, I am just, and this is to my fellow colleagues, I am always so pleased to be able to work with such a wonderful group of professionals. And as I look at other boards, and I'm not saying they aren't getting along, I am just saying that I appreciate this board so much. I appreciate working with you, the hard work that you do. And perhaps I don't say it often enough to each of you, but it is certainly a pleasure for me to be working with you. Because as I look at other boards, they're not doing a lot of the things that we're doing. As I talk to people on the state level and on the national level, I mean, we are ahead of the game in a lot of instances. And I think we've proven that tonight by voting on a policy that is somewhat controversial. And I know that it will not necessarily be a snap to implement, but I think that we have been willing in many instances to take sometimes the road less traveled to get things done. So again, I appreciate you. I appreciate our staff. Kathy has just been tremendous, but not only Kathy, all of our staff. So thank you very much. And thank you, trustees.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Requests for information, follow-up, or comments?
Any of you saved every paper since 1991?
No.
Do you have one of those basements that have?
But I was just looking at the quality of this paper. It just hasn't held up as well as the rest of us have, I think. But 17 and a half years old, the same age as probably a lot of our entering students.
That's a good point.
That it's taken to pass this smoking policy.
I'm interested to see what I said about smoking now.
I was 20 at that time.
So you weren't. I remember.
But maybe I haven't held up as well. I don't know.
I was much younger, I tell you.
I have one comment I'd like to make, and it's, believe it or not, it's heartfelt. We have worked hard, while it hasn't been maybe extremely visible. The board charged me with being as visible as I can be, and that I have a profession that keeps me very busy. It may not have been enough. But we all have been very extensively involved and busy in the presidential search. Our search committee's work is done, and now it's time for the college, the Board of Trustees, and the college community to become involved in the process. And I want to assure you of a couple of things. The first thing I want to assure you of is that we are in no stampede to elect somebody to sit in the chair as a board. We have 4 fine candidates, but we also have Dr. Mulder, who is a fine interim, who has assured us that she is available for as long as we need her. So I received an email comment from our Faculty Association president, which indicated there was some concern that we were moving too fast. We have a reason for moving fast, and that is that we'd like to get the situation resolved. And so the first part of this indeed was to move it along. The second part will be done with all deliberate speed. No compulsion to do anything except to make the right decision. And I've talked to every board member, and they've talked to me time and again about that, and I can assure you that we will do our best to do our duty and to make the right decision. The second thing I want to assure you of is that all constituent groups will have access in one way or another. I received another email from the Faculty Association president, to which he asked me to respond to Professor Alexander, and I will, concerning the method in which the faculty has access. Apparently, they have a plan. We had planned a forum for all of the faculty, and we will have some discussion as to how that works out. In fact, we may have planned more than one forum for all the faculty, so we'll see how that works out. The vice presidents, I've received some information through the president, as it should properly channel, that there's concern about having access to the presidential candidates. They will. Our students will. There's a student forum scheduled. Our public will. There's a public forum scheduled. And so it's going to be a visible and open process. We want everyone to have an opportunity to see these people and to give us input, because that input is valuable. We can't make the decision in a vacuum. We won't. We're not that arrogant, believe it or not. We think we know everything, but we're smart enough to know that we don't. And we're also smart enough to know that not one other group or one other person knows. It is that diversity, that mixture of opinion, that will produce, I think, in the long run, the best result for the college. And the third thing I want you to know is that we have appreciated your patience in this process, and we will continue to ask for that. So with that, I want to thank all of you for being here tonight. I want to thank you for your continued involvement in the process of selecting a president, and for your continued support for this board. And with that, we are adjourned. Thank you very much.